Let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's clear. Thank you.
I think we should be starting in a minute or so.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. I can see it's 4:05 p.m. Once again, welcome to the call. We are very happy to have all of you join us today. My name is Marvin Ngesa, and I am part of a community such as Nairobi AI, and also part of Safaricom team, where we are doing a bunch of things around AI and Gen AI. And I'm also joined here with Selo. We're going to say hi, Selo, once again.
Hi, everyone. So I work uh, with Marvin at Safaricom. I'm actually uh, a solution architect from AWS, but we work together at Safaricom. And I'm very happy to be here. And you will enjoy this session that Marvin has put together. I hope you learned something today. Thank you.
Thank you, Selo. And in this session, we're going to take you through how to write amazing story, African story, in fact, Kenyan story, set up around Lamu area. And we're going to take you through how creatives can use Gen AI to do the heavy lifting of this creative process. And what this means is that Gen AI can help you to become very creative and come up with this compelling content that can be good to your users. Of course, we're going to use Bedrock together with Anthropic and work together with it to come up with this creative content. So today we're going to give you an overview of what Gen AI is, and then take you step-by-step guide on prompting. And we're going to have like a hands-on workshop where we'll give you like a step-by-step guide on how to go about writing a prompt, and then also have you open either Claude. I'll tell you what Claude is for the guys who are hearing it for the very first time, on your Android app or iOS app or even on your browser. And then we'll tell you the next step from that point. Okay, so our goal today is going to be to create content around the script, to come up with our own script actually, that has a settings in Africa and around Lamu area, and we're going to have you think about a nice story, maybe around any place of your area. But I'm going to show you the one that you come up with that is set up in Lamu area. Of course, leveraging on Bedrock and also Cloud 3.5 Sonnet. And just start with Gen AI. You could think about Gen AI as training data in a distribution, having a distribution of data somewhere, and mapping it to a point where it can be able to show you new content, mapping data around text, mapping data around images, mapping data around videos, to a point where that distribution can always help you create a new kind of content if you ask it questions in natural language. And of course, it can also give you these answers in natural language. And today we even have multimodal kind of Gen AI that can give you answers in 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 different modalities, be it images. We have Gen AI that can generate images. We have Gen AI that can generate text, and even others that can generate videos today. But our focus is going to be just how do you write a book, or how to write a story, which means you're going to have an input as a text, and then output also as text. And of course, this Gen AI is hosted on AWS, running on Bedrock service. And that means that you won't have to worry about the infrastructure around it. You won't have to worry about setting up the infrastructure, setting up security, etc., because they're going to set up that for you. And in this Bedrock, you already have this pre-trained model, and all you need to do is just now to be able to build your stuff. But the one that you're going to do now is going to be just the general cloud. Okay. And of course, in Bedrock, you have choices. You have different models. You have different large language models, like others from Amazon, like Titan. There's Titan Lite. There's text embeddings. There's Titan embeddings v2. There's Titan image generation. We also have others from Meta. Probably if you are in building models for for public and both private, you know that you have open source models like Llama 3.2, 3.1, Llama 3, 8B, 7B, and the B ideally just means the number of parameters. And these parameters, you could just think of them as weights in a model, or you could think of it as gradients in mathematics. Of course, you have y is equal to mx plus c, where m is a gradient. So that m is the parameter, and that parameter is a weight, which is a parameter, and also what they're defining here. And in this case, it's billions, like Llama 370 billion parameters. You have others like Mistral, etc. And all these are available via Bedrock. So to do prompt engineering, of course, you can just go to ChatGPT or just go to Claude or just go to these different platforms and be able to type there. Just type maybe a sentence or a word or a paragraph and get response. But sometimes if you're a developer and you're building for your applications, you're building for your web, or even for your robot, a hardware robot probably, then you need to have like a nice proper prompt that could guide your robot to move around or guide your app to do whatever you want it to do. In this case, in this guideline, you can see that the different parts of a prompt, from defining what a task is, defining the tone, how do you guide this large language model, in this case, Cloud or Sonnet from Cloud, how do you guide it to respond the way you need it to respond? Which tone should it use? What are the tasks it needs to solve? And of course, it's trained on general data. It's trained on a distribution that's general across the globe, and sometimes it's more of data that's not from Africa, uh, and but you need to ground it to data that is in Lamu, data that is in Nairobi, your background information that is in Kisumu, in a locality. So you need to give it data, document or images, do more task descriptions. You can even give it rules on how it should behave. Is that things that you don't want it to give response to, or is there a way in which it should provide an answer? Then you can also do something called end-shot prompting by providing examples to it. We'll show you all this. We're just giving you an outline on how to write these prompts. You can even give it a previous history, conversational history on how you're chatting. For example, let me grab a pen or a pointer. You can see here, here's an example of how to respond to standard interactions. Then you have an example here. In this example, you can see that it's in some kind of tags. But then there's a nice guideline from Cloud on how to use this kind of what these tags are and how to use them. Then there's also history here. Here is conversational history between a user and you. So you can provide this history if you had it before. And then maybe there's a way that you want prompt, you want this large language model, in this case Cloud, to respond to you. How should it think before it responds to you? Which steps should it take? What is the chain of thought before it gives you an answer? So you can also have it, you can also provide that to it, then have some nice output formatting. Of course, it can give you answers depending on how it wants, but you can also guide it and tell it, you know what, this is how I want you to give me answers. This is how I want you to give me output from the interactions you're going to have with my user. This is a guidance on how to provide an output, etc. So today we're going to walk through all these ones, and probably I could just take you through what I've done. Then we're then going to have like a hands-on together on how to do all these ones. Um, so I think the first thing is going to be to define task or a persona. Like on the left, you can see like a guide. Like you're a well-renowned, then there's a role that you need to provide. You understand how to write, then you provide. Is it a movie? Is it a book? Is it a blog? Um, then I mean, you also provide maybe the category. You're just trying to ground it to the task and the persona. So this is just a guideline, but this is now how you write the actual prompt. You're a well-renowned children's book writer. You understand how to write children's book that are appropriate for ages 6 to 10 in a fun and engaging way. In fact, I think let me just go to let me show you the deck and then also go to my VS Code and show you how we're going to move through all this. And I'll take you through all this. Then now we're going to start step by step to do the workshop or the labs. So I want to share screen again, my entire screen. You let me know if you can see my screen, the entire screen. Can you see my entire screen?
Yeah,
Can you?
we
Perfect.
can see your VS Code.
All right. So I'm going to show you how we created a story here. Then after that, we're going to walk with you step by step on how to create a story. But all these are just in the guidance that I gave you on the previous deck, the one that's here, where we start with a prompt and then give it an example. Sorry, you have a guide on how to write a prompt, then you have your own prompt that defines the task and the persona. For example, in this case, you're a well-renowned children's book writer. You understand how to write books that are appropriate for age 6 and 10 in a fun, engaging way. So at that point, you already have a defined task and a persona. Then,
So Marvin, if I can just interrupt a little bit, I think maybe let's take a step back before we go into the prompting, and just check if everyone has managed to log into Claude.
okay.
If you are struggling to log in, maybe just log out of Claude and then log in from scratch and just show everyone how to get into it.
Yeah. And if you're on the browser, you should be able to have something like this. Mine have already logged in, so you should see something like this. Yeah.
If you have managed to get onto Claude either through a phone or using the browser, just do a +1 into the chat. We just want to get an idea of how successful you are in getting onto the Claude terminal, because the idea is for this session to be hands-on. We want you to walk out of this session. Hey, I see Emmanuel came right there. If you manage to come right logging into Claude, please just do a +1. If not, just do a -1, and then we will see how we can help you. Okay, so how are we doing? All right, the not managed. Fantastic. So it looks like, and if you struggled to log in, just don't be shy, to a -1, and then we will help you, because we want this to be a hands-on, live, interactive session. Dave is on the ball. +1. Thanks for joining, Dave.
Okay. Are we good, all of us?
All right. It looks like most people got it right. We'll stick around at the end of the meeting and then show everyone how to do it. So yeah, let's
All
start.
right.
Let's start. So take it away, Marvin. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. So the first thing is going to be to define the persona and the tone. I've just dropped it there on the chat. For example, what I have on my deck here, for persona. Then once you define that one, that one is just a start. Uh, Tone. I told you that the second thing is the tone. And what I've sent for you in the chat, please don't submit it yet. I just have it there. Just hold on. Don't take it to Cloud and submit it, because we're yet to set other things on it. Then to do more addition, we're also going to add the tone, set the tone. For example, here's a guidance on how to set the tone. For example, you've set up your well-renowned role, understand how to write, etc., etc. And then now here you can see that you should write it in a tone that is etc. But this is just a guidance. And if you go here, this is like an example of how you can do it, where you should write it in a tone that is exciting and stimulating, and age appropriate. And this age appropriate, if you check on what we had here initially, you can see that you have you have you're saying that this book, this children's book, this children there should be appropriate for ages of 6 to 10 years old. So on this tone, you're telling it that it should be exciting and stimulating, and it should be age appropriate to the age that you've already defined here, which is 6 to 10, and it's for children. Then beyond that, now you can tell Claude, can you give me 5 ideas of stories about Princess Moriga living on the island of Lamu in Kenya with her cat, Abdallah? This is just me trying to come up with a story. Of course, you can also try to ground it with your own story. If you are in Nairobi, or you are in Kirinyaga, or you are in whatever place within the country, or even South Africa, you can just have something that's relevant to what you're having, but ensure that you have the key things, that is the task, the persona, and now at this point the tone. Then once you have the tone, you can now submit it. Maybe I can give you like maybe 2-3 more minutes to try and do that, but I can also share with you the one that I have on this side to just give you guidance.
You can just paste the example from the presentation.
All right. Okay. Okay. Anyone who has added the two things? If you've added that, give us a +1 on the chat. Let me see. Messages.
So yeah, this is an example. So we would like you to be creative here, because this is us showing you an example of a book we came up with an idea of writing. But probably you don't want to write a book. Maybe you want to write a movie about a superhero, or you want to write a script for an animation blog about traveling in Kenya. So, or something technical. So you must come up with your own content that will be unique to you. Maybe you have built something technical and you want to share it with the world, and you'd like Claude to help you with the writing of that particular content. So if we can be a little bit creative, and yeah, maybe Marvin, just explain the last paragraph there where you're using Claude to help you with the ideation.
Yeah. So of course, Claude is such a powerful model, as very powerful models like Sonnet and Haiku. And in this case, you can decide to use Haiku probably for ideation, coming up with a list of things, and even Sonnet for if in case you need to do proper reasoning and proper thinking about it. But at this point, you are collaborating with Sonnet or Cloud, the cloud models, to be able to give you suggestions, give you ideas, give you like a list of stories that you can be able to have. But of course, the story that it is going to give you are going to be just its own stories, which now you need to ground to your locality. I don't know if you guys got that. Okay. Then after the tone, then you'll get a response. I hope you guys have been able to get a response, of course, with your own unique story that you're having, or unique uh, with project or article that you're having. For example, in my case, you can see here, I have actually I have the entire output here. Let me go to it. You can see I have an output here, Princess Moriga, number 1. Then I have the secret of singing shells, number 2. Then I have the great thou rescue, number 3. I have number 4, the mysterious moving marketplace. Then number 5, the dance and Swahili cats. You can, of course, you can see that it's getting some, it's bringing for me things around Swahili. I think because I've mentioned Lamu, and it's also giving me things like dance festival. I believe there's some dance festival in Lamu. That's why it's bringing those ones. Uh, Also, market stalls that are floating. I'm not sure if that's in Lamu, but at least it's trying to give me ideas of things that are around Lamu. Of course, not all of them. I'm not sure if there are dolphins in Lamu, and that means that still we need to do some more work into it. We need to do more grounding to it. And in fact, after setting up the first tone and ideation, then we'll go to the next part of it, where we'll now have an opened version of it, uh, and be able to and be able to ground it even further. So that for example, for my case, this is the answer I got, the one I've just shown you, number 1, number 2, number 3 to number 4. And to ground it more, then I'm going to have like more open-ended version. I'm just going to remove a large chunk of it and then put like 3 dots to it. So if I go here, I can see the first one. I've gone to some point, then I've added 3 dots. Second one, the same. Third one, up to the fifth one. So even on your side, you probably should go and after the ideation part, you have the initial story. You should now go and do some clipping to it, to the stories, so that you can get like more in-depth story. I hope we are together up to that point.
Maybe we
Anyone
can.
was Yeah.
I think we are still doing well for time, so we can spend some time on using Claude as a thinking partner, as someone that you can bounce ideas off of. Does it make sense that if you want to write something, you can actually throw ideas at Claude, and then Claude can respond back to you and say, "This is here are my suggestions." Um, have you been in a situation where you want to create a project that demonstrates maybe your skills on AWS or you want to make your CV more interesting, but you just don't have the idea. You've got a block about what to do. You can use Claude to get ideas and suggestions. So you don't have to talk to someone. You can just talk to Claude and say, I have this, I want to do something in this space. What are your ideas? And then it can work with you on that. Does that make sense to you? Feel free to unmute if you can, or just type into the chat and let's have a discussion. So, Marvin, just show the two versions of the ideation. All right. So in this slide, no, just in the slide pack, we have two slides on the ideation. In this slide, in the example, yeah, we are asking for 5 ideas. We are asking for 5 ideas about Princess Mariga living on the island of Lamu with a cat, Abdallah. A gang of cats come on the island. In this version, we actually are giving it what we call the setting for the story. So we are already telling it that there's a gang of cats that are coming from the port of Mombasa, city cats, which are coming to invade the island. Now, the story is already set. We've set up what we call an action space. And therefore, when Claude helps us with ideation here, it is helping us within the context of our action space. So the action is going to happen between Princess Moriga, her cat Abdallah, and the gang of cats from Mombasa. But if you want to open it, maybe you just don't have an idea about the setting, all right? We can take off the line saying a gang of cats has landed, all right? And all the way up to saving the island. And then what it does then is it just comes up with 5 ideas that are very different from each other, as you can see from what uh, um, from what Marvin is showing. So when you ask it an open-ended suggestion, it will go and be creative and give you a whole lot of ideas. When you ring fence it to a certain space, then it will work within the confines of that space. I hope this makes sense to you. Cool. We can go ahead.
Yep. Thank you for that. And ring fencing is where you have the entire paragraph from can you all the way to this point. But if you want to be it more creative, then that's when you remove from a particular section and remove a large chunk of it. But at least it also still have the context of where you are. Then beyond that, now you can give it more background information. And in this background information, let me just go back here. This background information, you're going to try and create the outline on your own. You're going to try to make it appropriate for the children in Lamu or children where you are, or for the context of what you're having. So if you remember, uh, second, this is the response that we got. Then we did an open-ended version, then add more information around it after grounding. But then we can also add more background information to it. For example, in this case, you can see here, I have a guideline on what it should do from number 1 to number 8, where we're telling it Princess Morega accidentally jumped into the father's door with Abdallah, the cat, when the father was in the house. So I'm trying to give it some more ideas on how my story should go about, how my creative story should go about. Then number 2, they saw above the cloud and struggled to control the door until it lands in the mangrove forbidden forest. Then I let it to go and think and ideate and be more creative with it. And number 3, the walking mangrove tried to capture the dhow as the princess struggled to fly it again. Number 4, the cat releases the sails, which opens up the wings that flaps and fly out of the mangrove above the clouds to a sunny sky. So I'll give it more ideas from number 1 all the way to number 8. But ideally, what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to rail the Gen AI into the entire process. And also, in your case, with the story that you're trying to build, you can also come up with your own kind of background information so that the story is grounded to your background information. For example, you can see all my number 1 all the way to number 8, the one I've shown you. So probably I can give you some time. You can try and do that, and don't submit even after you've added this one already. Maybe I can give you 1 to 2 minutes, or maybe 2 minutes. Will you want to add something, Selo?
Yeah, so maybe as the guys are typing the outline for their article or their story or whatever it is, we can just explain that what you're doing here is you're using Claude for the heavy lifting, but you are staying in charge of the creative aspect. So you mustn't let it. So let's say if this was a blog, so then you basically start the paragraphs, all right, and do dot dot at the end of the paragraph. If it's a traveling blog, where you say maybe you talk about how you book for the traveling, arriving there, activities that you do on arrival, things to look out for, and closing up the travel and going back home. By starting those paragraphs and doing dot dot, Claude is clever enough to actually understand that with the dot dot, you wanted to fill in that paragraph for you, and then you are effectively doing what Marvin was explaining when he's saying you are railing it. So you're putting the rails for it to say, I want you to do this, but help me here because I'm kind of out of ideas. And then you'll go right ahead and fill it in for you. So you will see how it filled in the rest of the stories for us, so that we could then go in and just edit it and make it prettier. So go ahead, Marvin.
Yeah, thank you, Selo. And remember, even after having that one, don't submit yet, because we want to add some rules to it before submitting. So once you're ready, I want to give you some rules here that you can add to it. Then we submit and see what you're getting. So I have some examples here of the rules. Let me go back here. I've dropped the rules on the chat. I hope you can see it. So once you place your rules, once you place your background information, then add the rules that we've given you. Then now you can submit and probably share with us what you're seeing. But on my side, this is now how my prompt looks like. In the meantime, as I wait for you to do that, I can show you what I've got from my end, so that you can just see. So on my end, working on the steps that we've talked about up to this point, you could see that I have rules here already. The paragraph should be written in a roller coaster style. You can put your own kind of rules. Of course, I've given you that already. Each paragraph should be that number of long and a roller coaster kind of stuff. Then once you have that already, then now you can submit and we see what you can have on your side. In my case, this is what I'm having. The flying though adventure, I have number one. It was just another sunny afternoon in Lamu when Princess Moriga spotted her father's beautiful doe bobbling gently at the dock. Let's take a closer look. Abdallah, she whispered to the cat, who purred in agreement. As they tiptoed onto the wooden deck, a sudden gust of wind caught the sail. Before they could jump off, whoosh, the doe lifted into the air like a giant seabird. Oh no, gasped Moriga, clenching Abdallah tightly as they watched their island grow smaller and smaller below. Grow smaller and smaller below. So it's giving me feedback. Of course, that's railed to my locality. I want to see what you guys are having. Drop what you have at the moment in the chat if you're following. Then we go to the next step.
Have any of you been able to create some kind of a story there? It'll be good to see what you've managed to do.
Or you could also paste the step where you are, then we guide you, because this is a hands-on session in case you're stuck somewhere. And feel free to unmute and let us know if you.
There's someone in the chat saying that they're getting a Claude is not available error.
Oh, I see.
Where are you connecting from, BM? Just type into the chat, get an idea of which country you're connecting from. Oh, that's weird. Kenya is actually allowed to. Your other option is that you try using Facebook's Llama, well, Llama 3.2. So just Google Llama 3.2. It should come up on Google, and then log into it with your Google or Facebook user, and then follow us from there, because Llama Llama 3.2 is available in Claude, so you can use it on AWS as well. So maybe try that as an option. Tell us if you have any luck.
Okay. All right. Let me share my screen and show you where I am at the moment. Then we'll come back and pick all of you and ensure that we are on the same page. So you could try, this was a link. If you log in, I believe you should be able to get something like this one here, even for a new user in Kenya. And from this point, we've already added all the bunch of things, and now including even the rules here. And the next thing now that we can do to all this, so with that you can see the response I got, the one that I've just shown you. It was just another sunny afternoon in Lamu when Princess Moriga, etc., etc. Then now we can also even give it more examples. Um, we can have, like for example, you can see like a guide on a tractor was flying, etc., etc. But we can give it example that is aligned to what to our use case. So if you give it more example, let me see. If you give it more example, of course it's going to pick the examples uh, and then give you even a better response to it. Okay, then example is just one piece of it. Beyond that, you can also now tell it how to think, but don't submit yet. You just need to add how it should think before it gives you a response. So probably I can share with you this thinking part. For example, in my case, here's how I want it to think. But of course, there are different ways in which you can tell it to think, and you can make it probably behave the way you always behave towards a particular task, or towards writing a book, or towards doing something, so that it thinks in that particular line with you. So I'll drop for you this on the chat. You can add it to your prompt. Then even at that point, don't submit yet what you're having. You can also, beyond that, also give it a way of formatting. How should it give you an answer? In which way should it give you an answer? How do you want it to be formatted? So I also have this formatting that I want to give you that you can use. For example, in my case, you can see that I'm taking on the thinking. I'm taking to take as much time as you need. Thinking steps and build up to climax, then resolve down. Place your thinking for each step in thinking tag. And then beyond that, I'm telling it now on formatting to write the book in a markdown with each chapter clearly named. At the end, it should add an abstract that can be used on the outside of the book. So I'm giving it the kind of output I need. Of course, I can do this without formatting, and it will give me a different answer. But if you do with formatting, it will give you also a better answer with what you wanted it to give you. So let me also just give you this formatting part of it. You can add and then submit. So I give you thinking, how you want it to think. I'll give you example, thinking, and the formatting part of it. Okay, let me grab this, put it in the chat. Then now you can submit and let it show you what it has. If you're together, put +1 on the chat. If you're stuck somewhere, put 0 somewhere on the chat, or you can put 2 on the chat. Let me see. If you're together, put +1. +1 together 2. I am stuck somewhere. Okay, if you're stuck, we're going to support you and find ways to ensure that we can help you get moving. So in my case, if I run it, let me just go here. If I put every single thing, the one I've talked about, including formatting, then I can tell Claude to send output to artifacts, and then I can have my story here on the artifacts about the flying though adventure. You can see I have chapter 1, I have chapter 2, I have chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5. I have chapter 6, I have chapter 7, chapter 8, and below it I have book abstract according to the guidance I gave it on it. But even beyond that, you can also see that I also have thinking. You can see every single part. It tells me the thinking part of it. For example, in chapter 1, it's saying start calm, but then build sudden excitement with wind sounds and movement. Use simple but vivid descriptions as a young reader can imagine. So I have thinking there. Then the output. Even chapter 2, it gives me a thinking about it. In this case, create a sense of wonder mixed with nervousness. Use cloud imagery that children can relate to, like cotton candy and pillows. You can see the thinking. And even beyond thinking, now you can see the chapter 2 real story, dancing with the clouds. Up and up they soared through puffy clouds that looked like giant cotton candy. Then swish, soof, the dough spun like a leaf in the wind, making Morega stomach feel ticked. The ropes, Abdallah, she called, reaching for the steering lines that flapped widely. Then snap, snap. But pulling them only made the dough twirl faster. Hope they burst through a cloud that felt like a cold mist on their faces, and suddenly, zoom, they were driving down, down, down towards a dark forest of twisted mangrove trees. With a mighty splash and a crash, they landed in the murky water between the gnarly roots. So it will give me its thinking, give me the response of it. Of course, you can see there's Abdallah in it. You can see some mangrove. You can see Mwariga. And ideally, the way they wanted to tell the story, it should be able, it tells the story in that particular way. And if you look at in all this, you can see that it's been able to go it's been able to go through what we've told it, from tasks to the tone that we set, to the background information, to the detailed task description and rules, the examples, the thinking, the output format, and now we're able to get that particular story. So I don't know. Let me go back and check where we are. Okay. Let me see here. I think someone has pasted something. Yay! I can see you're starting to get to set up. Okay. Looks like you're trying to set up. Okay, I think that's a direct message. Anyway, yeah. So I don't know. Selo, you want to add something on that?
No, you've done an amazing job of giving the team an overview of how this works. I think now is a good time to basically just give them an overview of what we have managed to do and open the mic and hear what everyone has to say.
Great. So on the overview, of course, we started with the persona and added things like tone and all that, and then it gave us some kind of vague response, but we're able to flesh a bunch of things outside it and be able to ground it with what we wanted to give us, uh, and even do more railing with the outline on how the story should be, how number one, the first paragraph, second paragraph, and even the last paragraph should be, the five paragraphs should be. And then over and over again, we have this loop where we review the produced content, then refine the prompts, And we define the prompt by giving it more context to our locality, giving it more examples from where we come from, giving it more, ideally making it more relatable to the people in that particular area. Because this distribution that Claude has, it's kind of a global distribution that probably has less information about the region where you are. And then after that, now at least you can share it with maybe a final human to do the review. Yes, and in this session, you guys have gone through what GenAI is, what large language models are. Ideal large language models are neural networks that are trained on large data sets. And now you guys have gone through what prompt engineering is, the different steps that you can go through. We've taken you through the ideation process, the step-by-step of how to do it, and how you collaborate with Claude to do for you the reasoning, giving you ideations. But even as you give you ideas, you try to guide it on how the output should be. You try to guide it on you try to rail it to your locality, to your environment, to the stories from where you come from. Yes, and as you have seen, GenAI can help you with heavy uplifting. And I think that's from this point. I think I'll take questions. Then we see. Any person who has a question? Questions? I think I'll check on the chat. Okay. Do you have questions? Okay. I don't
Maybe,
know if.
Marvin,
Yeah.
I can ask,
Yeah.
a question on behalf of the group and say, okay, so you have shown us how to write creative stories with this. How does this help us in our professional life? How could this be helpful to me in my professional life?
Yep. So I think it can be helpful in different ways. Of course, today we've shown you how to write creative stories. Uh, we've shown you how to write delightful African stories with Bedrock and Cloud. But probably you're a software engineer and maybe you're building maybe an app that should respond in a particular way to your customers or in a particular way to your internal employees. And of course, the model that you're using, in this case, if it's Cloud, it has global distribution of knowledge. But there are those rules within your company, there are those behaviors, there are those terms that you use within your company that you want Cloud to be to take care of when it's giving you response. So you as you build your app or you build your solution, the same way we are grounding these African stories to this African kind of content to our story. You can also ground your company's rules, your company's way of working, your company's knowledge and all that, so that these models can behave almost as the same as someone who has been in your company for that long time and knows all the rules within your company when it gives you a response. So if you're building a chatbot within your company, then you can have a nice prompt that guides it on how you should respond, taking into account your company's context. There's a nice example here I have for what uh, for a nice project. Uh, Let me just. I hope you can see my screen. And the prompt doesn't have just to be for what for a blog or whatever. You can also have a prompt for a robot. If you're a fan of robots, to a point where you can have a prompt that guides a robot on how it should behave without. I think there's a lot of things, but you can have a prompt that guides a robot on how you can move from one place to another, just with a text that you have somewhere, or how you should respond to someone if someone speaks to it. Ask it, okay, what's your name? So if you ask it, what's your name, then you can have a prompt that guides it to say, my name is this person. But it's saying my name is this person because of the prompt. If there was no prompt, just a large language model, it won't respond to you that in that particular way. But now, because you have the prompt, the robot will tell you, maybe my name is Upendo, because you had Upendo in the particular prompt. Yes, over to you, Selo.
Fantastic, man. I think you can share the links that we have prepared for the team. Just do a screenshot of this, or we'll pop it out into the chat, into the WhatsApp group for the Kenya user group.
Sure. Okay. So we have a bunch
Martin,
of links. Yeah.
Benson here. I have a question. Huh?
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a BM. So I wasn't able to set it up because even after using my Gmail, it's telling me that it can't verify my number. But I'll continue troubleshooting to see where the issue might be. Yeah, but I have a question. Huh?
Okay.
So if you can write books with this, so who owns the copyright? And might you find it that maybe it's gathering sources from other books and you may find yourself in trouble for copyright issues? Or how does it work?
I think my response will be in line with what Selo said, in that you're using prompt as your friend. You're using prompt as a friend who can help you to think. But even as they help you to think, you're giving them ideas of where you come from. Of course, prompt today have global knowledge, but you're telling things prompt like, you know what, we have donkeys in Lamu, or there's this weird thing that we have in Nairobi, and I want you to support me in telling the story. So the story is yours. Prompt is just helping you to be more creative with your story. It's not like you took a book online and that's what you published. It's like I know how my story should be. I know how the flow should be. I have the step-by-step guidance. If you remember, we had step-by-step guidance on how it should be. I know the tone in which I should tell this story. I know my persona, like Moriga and this person in my story. And there's a way that I can contextualize it so that it's my own story. And I'm just using Claude to help me to think more and be more creative with my story. So I think at the end of it, the story is yours. And the reason you use Claude is not to steal any content, but to guide you in becoming more creative. Will you want to add something, Selo?
I'm actually going to send out a link to an author tool that is built on Gen AI, and send you a link on YouTube where there's a person on YouTube that is giving guidance on how to write using Gen AI. That's if you want to take writing seriously. Remember that we are just introducing prompting. We are not necessarily making you an author, all right? On the copyright part, Claude has copyright rules, and so does Bedrock. However, the copyright to the knowledge you generate remains with you, all right? And if you want to actually publish it, you should ensure that you do all the due diligence to ensure that there is no what we call there's no copyright infringement with the content you're generating, just to be safe, and also probably consult someone who specializes in that to assist you. So let me send you this link on writing a book with Gen AI, and if it inspires you and you end up writing a book, please
Larger
share
series of
share your book with us and we'll read it together. So this is a YouTube link to a step-by-step guide on how to write a book. One day, maybe, if Marvin and I actually end up, publishing this book, because I am challenging him to publish these stories as short stories for kids. We will tell you a story about how it went. Hopefully, you learn something from our experience. But also, not everything has to be serious, okay? Because as you learn prompt engineering, you might be using in your day-to-day work for something serious, but you should be able to do something fun from which you're not even expecting to make money, but you get to have a lot of fun with it. So also understand that there's nothing wrong with making it a hobby rather than a serious job. Hope that answers you. And I will pop some videos. I hope you are all in the Nairobi user group as well. If you are there with us, you'll be able to get all the links we'll share around this topic.
You can share the link to the group here on chat.
Let me try find it quickly. All right. But we've got, I believe we've got some. If Adeline, if you can please share the link for Adeline. Where is Adeline?
Yes, I'm here sharing.
Okay, thank you. Adeline, maybe introduce yourself as we close and tell the people about the Nairobi user group.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for joining in. So allow me to stop the recording because I'm assuming we have ended. Right, Selo Marvin?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay.